This is the KoperCrabb Podcast.
I'm Cheney Crab.
I am your captain, Navene Copperwise.
If you would like to buy... Oh my God. If you would like to buy KoperCrabb merch, hit up KoperCrabb.bigcartel.com. Grab one of these awesome new glass mugs that we have. We have coffee mugs. We have t-shirts. These glasses are almost sold out, so grab one while you can.
They're beer mugs.
They're beer mugs. I don't want to call them that.
They're not really
specifically. You could put your juice in them.
Beverage containers.
If you would like to grab ENTHEOS merch that I send out, then go to ENTHEOSofficial.bigcartel.com. If you want to, and all of our limited edition merch items are available in that store. If you want to grab something that is not from that store, but is still ENTHEOS merch, go to nightshift.com/collections/ENTHEOS. If you would like to send in a message, a question for the podcast, or call into the podcast and leave a voicemail, you can do so on our Discord. I don't know. How do you search for a Discord?
It'll just be...
You have to find the link?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to have the link?
Search for the link somewhere.
No, the link's in description.
The link's in the description. So yeah, you can call in, leave a question there. So we have a couple of upcoming events this weekend, actually, October 23rd, 2022, in case you're listening to this in the future. This weekend, Navene and I are speaking at an event called Beatdown Brunch in Knoxville, Tennessee, at the Concourse. It's at 11:30 in the morning. It's free. It's hosted by Beatdown King and Lizzie Livingston. There's a Bloody Mary bar, a food truck, and we're going to be talking about, playing metal, what we do essentially, and how to kind of work as a DIY band. We've got a few things that we've been talking about that we'll bring up there, and it'll be fun.
Some of our classic tips, our down-to-earth tips to help you guys live your dreams.
We call them our DTET. Yeah. Down to earth tips.
There we go. D-TET.
D-TET. We're also playing, our band ENTHEOS is playing Whitechapel's Christmas show benefit show with Whitechapel Orthodox, the Guild in Knoxville, Tennessee on December 22nd. That is a Thursday at the Mill and Mine. Yep. And you should definitely grab your tickets to that because word on the street is that it usually sells out and you don't want to be crying outside of the venue, wishing that you would have bought a ticket.
Putting your ear up to
the door.
Like
a loser.
Putting your ear up to the door, trying to hear what's going on in there.
Like a total loser. I can't do it.
Which was one of the funniest podcasts of ours of all time.
That was a really good podcast if I had to make a top 10 list.
I know. Well, speaking of which, we've been doing in true KoperCrabb fashion is how Harrison described it. Last week was almost to the day our 3-year anniversary since starting the podcast.
Yeah.
And of course we didn't know that. And we didn't say anything about it.
I think I actually did know that and found out about it, but then forgot about it almost immediately and forgot to bring it up.
It was because...
Harrison, that's your job. That's your job.
Yeah, I'm calling him out.
You better write it down for next year so you know. 4-year anniversary.
Fuck. That seems like a long time. I'm like, we should probably be better at this.
I know. We should probably have figured it out. But we went back, honestly, and watched a few minutes of the first episode today, and I was like, I cannot watch this shit.
Yeah, I know.
It's time to turn it off.
That was the joke. The reality is that we are really good at this.
Gotcha.
That was the plot twist.
But, wow, we started the podcast in your mom's barn. Your mom is actually here at our house right now. She's asleep. She's an early sleeper, early riser.
Yeah, we lived in a barn behind my mom's house.
Yes.
Not exaggerating.
We did. Totally not an exaggeration.
And we started a podcast. We bought this table, remember? We were like, we're going to be official. We're going to buy a podcast table from IKEA.
Yep. That's what we did, literally.
Honestly, the production of it, not so bad.
That was actually one of your prerequisites to having a podcast. You're like, because I begged Navene to start a podcast with us or with me for months, right? And one of your prerequisites was that we had a nice table. Because you're like, every podcast has a nice table.
A nice table.
It is
It's
better
just freaking
because of this
awesome.
table. I mean, it's a good table. We're far apart from each other, which is good.
Yeah.
We're far apart from the guest, which is good in case we don't know them or in case they
Or we
like
have to keep 6 feet
COVID
away.
or something.
right?
Yeah, I mean,
Social distancing.
yeah. So we've been able to social distance the whole time.
We're hardcore. We're really waiting to see this thing through. So we're keeping it really distant.
Then we can go back to a shorter
Yeah.
table,
Yeah.
but only then.
But yeah, we were mildly embarrassing about talking. I believe I totally contradicted myself a bunch of times. And you called me out for it.
Well, also I feel like I was a little like more shy for some reason
Yeah.
because I've never been a shy person. I'm not shy,
Yeah.
but I was like acting. I think I was just like unsure of what we were doing, like what it was uncharted territory.
Right. So anyway, it was uncharted. Sorry, Jenny. I'm just like, yeah, whatever.
Oh, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, totally.
Typical
so that was
KoperCrabb
there we go.
fashion, right?
That's a great podcast move for all you guys wanting to start a podcast. If someone says something and you don't really have anything to say, just
Breeze over it.
boom, change the topic.
Yeah, into something you want to talk about now. Joe Rogan does that all the time.
Yeah, totally.
It's like,
But-
anyway, back to BJJ.
Yeah. So CTE, or I don't know what he talks about now. I haven't listened to Joe Rogan in a while, but I stopped. I don't really listen to Joe Rogan unless I like the guest.
Yeah.
I
Same.
go on there when I'm like, okay, that so and so's on there. I want to hear that.
He has Rick Rubin on. He had Rick Rubin on last week, so I
That wouldn't get
was
me to-
listening to some of it today.
Wouldn't really.
Actually, pretty fascinating because you're hearing about like essentially the creation of modern rap.
Yeah, but I'm sure that's fascinating.
It's super fascinating. Are you being sarcastic right now,
No.
Captain?
I'm not.
Captain?
I'm sure it's fascinating, but I don't think I'd last. I think I'd just be like, all right, I gotta
Oh,
get
yeah.
out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Although I do listen to stuff that people would find to be boring, a lot, quite a bit actually.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
You do.
I do, 100%.
Yeah, I know because I find it to be boring, and then you'll be listening to it on a car ride, and I'll fall asleep immediately.
I know. What were we saying? Yeah. Sometimes talking just really puts you to sleep. Like when Evan used to listen to.
I was just gonna bring that up.
When we were on tour, Evan used to play like Game of Thrones.
Every night at night, he would play Game of Thrones after
It doesn't
a
matter what
show.
time of day it was. I remember
That
like
shit
in the
Game
daytime,
of
and
Thrones me to sleep. I know.
because the narrator would be like, and he
And-
put forth a weeping willow, and I'd be like,
It's just like I just fell into a
Yeah.
deep coma.
yeah,
off
it was
those
the
books.
best. Like when he drove and threw on the Game of Thrones like audiobook,
Yeah,
I was like, oh, this is gonna be fucking awesome.
I
Man. I'm
know.
about to get some great sleep.
I know.
You know what? Sometimes that reminds me. Sometimes on tour, you get these amazing sleeps.
True.
And I actually can recall one. I think about it to this day. It was just like the best nap ever. And it was laying on the floor backstage. I don't know exactly where we were, but there was a ton of people backstage. And I pushed my earplugs in as far as they could go. I was really tired, and I like pushed them in really far. So all you can kind of hear is like,
Yeah.
and like when you hear talking, but you can't hear what they're actually saying.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I don't know if it's a human thing or if it's just a me thing. It just knocks me out.
Yeah, it's similar
So
to the
I'm
Game
just
of Thrones.
and I was like, it was probably, I don't know, 4 or 5. We had loaded in, and I'm laying on the concrete. And I was like, I'm getting kind of comfy, and then like everyone's just, and then just that's it, done, out. It was the best nap ever.
I can recall the worst naps I've ever had on tour. Do you want to hear about them?
Let's hear about it.
Okay,
I know what you're gonna say already.
Well, 2 of them were on the last tour that we did.
Oh, really?
One, what did you think I was gonna say?
I thought you were gonna say in I think it was Philadelphia where the person came backstage and was like, "Hey, you can't sleep back here."
Oh yeah, I wasn't asleep. You and Evan were.
Oh, I thought it was you and Evan.
No, it's you and Evan.
Wow, I'm
that
getting
were asleep.
myself
Yeah,
confused
you
for you.
were. You and Evan even took a picture of yourselves, and you were like, "No naps allowed."
Oh,
I mean, Jesus
wow.
Christ, dude.
I'm fucking
I've been
losing it,
telling
dude.
everyone that Navene is getting.
It's
I think
bad.
I think his mind's going.
I know. Hey, I've been thinking about that too, and I wrote a note
I told his
today.
mom.
I made a little list of stuff that I'm allowed to pay attention to.
And obviously,
'Cause I gotta cut the rest out.
Memories are not one.
I got to cut the rest out so I don't take up unnecessary
Memories
space.
of tour. Well, I want to talk about my worst
let's hear the
sleeping experiences.
Sorry.
So the first one was when we were stuck in the blizzard in Wyoming on the way out to this tour. Was it Wyoming? We were in like northern Wyoming. Or can you help me out? Is that where we were?
Yeah, that's where we were.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know you were asking me. Sorry.
What? I was looking directly at you and saying, "Is that where we were?"
No, I knew at that point.
serious?
I didn't know beforehand.
Okay. Dude, you're not really leading the ship
There's
for
another
being a captain.
There's another factor going on here wrong with me, which we can get into in a little
Before
while.
I can tell my Okay, anyways, so we were in northern Wyoming and you were driving and I had just kind of fallen into sleep. And then you were kind of like, I could tell you were driving all weird. And I woke up and I was like, there is a fucking whiteout blizzard going on right now. And we're like sailing down a mountain.
That was bad.
And I was like,
really bad.
I was like yelling from the back of the van, Navene, please stop. Pull over on the side of the road. Do not drive in this. And you did.
No, the captain did not pull over.
Well, you didn't at first, but then you did. Then you captained on over to the side like it was the Titanic trying to get out of the way of the iceberg.
It was complete whiteout.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is only going to get worse if we pull over. What we're just going to be stuck out here?
Right.
Donner party?
But then
No,
you
thanks.
did end up doing that because it got so dangerous that there was no way we could continue.
No,
So
I continued to the exit, is what I'm saying.
yeah,
I didn't want to be on the side of the road.
Oh, right,
just
right.
fucking off, eating each other
So
and stuff.
we pulled off to an exit and yeah, because we were so hungry after we left. We're 5 miles away from the gas station snacks.
Could be, dude. I saw this movie when I was a kid. I think it's called Life. And it's like about these people that get in a plane wreck in the snow and they have to eat each other. It's fucking,
Oh my
it fucked
God.
me up, man.
Dude.
It was fucked up.
Oh my God. But so we had to pull off the exit onto the exit and we slept there. And I had this horrific dream that someone, like a ghost, was laying on top of me in the van. Like, I don't know. It was just
A
terrifying.
night terror.
It was a night terror. And then the other worst sleep that I've ever had on tour was when we were driving that mountain pass into Vancouver on Archspire. Marshall, our sound guy, was driving and we were on a 2-lane highway in the middle of the mountains in Vancouver. And it's a notorious tour thing that on this pass is where moose will come out in the middle of the night. And like, you really have to beware of moose. And it was a 2-lane highway and Marshall was, doing the speed limit, but it feels like you're soaring through the fucking mountains at 55 miles an hour. And semis were passing us all night and they were like within 2 feet of us, but it was such a long drive that we couldn't stop in the middle of the night. And it just like, it was awful. I was like, a semi is, if a semi makes any wrong move,
I know.
So
the
that
whole
was pretty
touring in
scary.
the winter thing. Well, it wasn't even the winter, but
That wasn't the
it was like
winter. That
freaking
was just a
April.
mountain over.
Yeah.
That was just through the mountains, which in the middle of the night, the mountains, like, it's only you and semis really driving in the middle of the night. So it can be
not good.
a sketchy experience, but Marshall's a good driver.
Yeah.
We made it. And then we played like the sickest fucking Vancouver show ever. So
It was all worth it.
it was all worth it for that one Vancouver show.
But
was great.
So we're keeping it real still, sober October.
Yeah, we are.
We're having some IPAs that are not IPAs.
They're
Well-being.
non-alcoholic well-being.
I will say, after a couple sips, I feel like I'm drinking a beer.
I actually am kind of feeling drunk
I know.
because
I
I
like
know
it.
that these don't have 0 alcohol in them. I think they have like 0.1% of alcohol.
It's like less than a half. I mean, it's like as much as a kombucha. Less than 0.5. I mean, it's none.
It's basically Delta 8, if you guys are familiar.
I
Dropping
don't think
a
it is, though.
middle of the
I don't
country.
think it's even Delta 8 status.
Really?
It's nothing.
Yeah, because alcoholics can drink non-alcohol.
I was wondering that. Can alcoholics do that, or would it like trigger them? And they'd be like, I gotta have a beer now.
Seems a little triggering to me.
I think so too.
Tastes
I think,
exactly like it
I
tastes.
feel like if you were having a serious alcohol problem, you shouldn't drink that.
You know what's
That's what I think.
interesting though? I think beer, this non-alcoholic beer, tastes how you want beer to taste. It's better than beer.
I don't know if I agree with that.
It's so good.
It's pretty good,
really?
though.
You don't agree with that?
It's honestly pretty freaking good.
I would easily substitute this with beer. Or
I
for
could
beer.
imagine myself getting this as a beer and being like, okay, so okay.
Me
it's an
too.
alright beer.
And then you just stay sober all night. You're like secret sober.
That's what okay, so my mom
Undercover
has been in
sober.
town. I know it's probably dorky to be like, my mom and I were talking about, but my mom's in town, so we were talking. I was telling her about the Sober October thing and whatever, and that we have non-alcoholic beers. And she was like, yeah, you could just like go to a bar and just drink one of those and then just start acting all weird, goofy,
Yeah.
and no one would care.
No one would care. You'd be forgiven.
And I was like, dang. And then when the night's over, you just take your keys out and drive home.
Isn't that fascinating? But if
amazing.
you went there and you just drank water all night and started acting weird, everyone would think you're on crack.
True.
What's up with that?
It's really deep stuff, man. It's deep rooted.
It's pretty good.
But
I'm
yeah,
down.
I've been enjoying it. And
this
so I thought
one is better than the Bud Light one.
Yeah. Well, it's like this tastes like a craft beer, and the IPA. I mean, and the Bud Zero tastes like a Bud Light.
Well, we went to this super bougie grocery store in East Nashville. And if y'all know East Nashville, you know that's like the hipster part of Nashville.
the
So we went to
hipsters.
a grocery store there and found they have like a shitload of IPAs that are non-alcoholic.
They had a non-alcoholic little section.
Yeah.
We was like, what one should we get?
And we want to try one every week
Yeah.
during this month. And for however long, I don't know how long I'm going to stay
I know, we
sober.
might
I'm
keep it
honestly
going. I kinda
liking
like
it. Yeah.
I like feeling not like shit. It's
Me
kinda
too.
cool.
It's kind of my new thing, but I also want to find a balance in like being down to go out. And because honestly, staying sober all the time makes me want to stay home and work on stuff
Yeah.
more because
Like,
that's
big
just who
time.
I am
I know.
naturally.
Big
Like I
time.
just like staying at home and making art and working on stuff. So I need to find a nice balance between the two, I think.
Yeah. Does it exist? We
Find
don't know.
some more adult things to go and do.
But then I was kind of like over the last couple days, I was like, all right, let's take it one step further, man. I won't drink coffee either. And that's been problematic.
It's a terrible choice.
Yeah, it's been freaking weird. So I feel bizarre.
I shan't be doing that.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it either, but
Well, you did.
I know. I don't think I'm going to keep that going.
I have to be honest though. Anytime I've known anyone to give up coffee, I'm like,
It's just
dude.
the pros outweigh the cons
'Cause you've
on
given-
every level.
you've given up coffee a few times throughout
I
our
have.
relationship, and you're always like, you go to bed at like 5.
I feel like I could go to sleep at almost any time.
Yeah, you've been going to bed really early.
I'm like a cat.
Yeah.
I just want to take a little nap. Like,
Our cat likes to sleep under our covers.
but you know what's weird about it is I don't feel like I don't have any energy. You know, like I feel like I could get up and do something
Yeah.
whenever, but I also feel more likely that I could lay down and take a nap. It's
Yeah.
not really. I don't feel like groggy or lethargic. It's kind of hard to explain. I just feel sort of tired.
Yeah. You know, the one of the bad things about my coffee addiction
Or
is
relaxed.
that
I
before
feel
I
relaxed.
drink coffee in the
So-
morning, I have like a shorter temper.
That's the same with me. I have a really bad temper when I think it's the same with me. I need to drink like a very small amount.
Yeah.
I've been drinking like some chai that has a little bit of caffeine in it.
Everyone goes to chai, of
But it
course.
doesn't really.
It's like,
I feel like there's something else in coffee that really just sets it off for me.
yeah, I wonder if there's something that like stimulates the caffeine.
Something, because I believe caffeine comes from coffee, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that-
it comes from
yeah.
cocoa beans, right?
it's like naturally occurring.
Cacao?
It's naturally occurring in different plants,
Mhm.
but I feel like with the coffee, it's really naturally occurring in there.
This is coming from 2 coffee experts.
Yeah, total bullshitters.
Coffee expertise.
We're gonna be drinking decaf on the podcast tomorrow.
I'm not doing that. Leave me my fucking coffee.
Yeah, I know.
Coffee, what's it going to do?
More
Give me
coffee.
a panic attack? Okay, I'll take it
I know.
for the energy.
I will say it feels better at night when I am trying to relax. I feel real relaxed.
Yeah, but you feel relaxed all day long too. That's the problem.
I know.
Here I am, like trying to talk someone into doing something that's not even.
I know. Today
Not
I
straight.
was like, can I make riffs anymore? Probably not. And then I actually took my computer out just to see, and I made a really sick riff.
That's cool.
And I wasn't on coffee.
Have you been listening to any sick riffs lately?
Not really. I honestly haven't really been listening to anything.
I haven't
listened to. I'm even out on like podcasts. I'm just kind of like I went to the when we went to the gym last night. I put my headphones on and like turned them on. They're like the noise canceling ones, and then just had my phone in my pocket and was just working out for like 10 minutes. And I was like, nothing's on in my headphones.
Oh,
This is weird.
wow. Yeah, that is weird.
So I just turned on some album that I know I like.
I've been listening to a couple of podcasts, but I feel like we haven't listened to a ton of stuff since your mom's been here.
Yeah, I think that's probably.
We're a little quieter, I think.
We're kind of taking on my mom's persona.
Yeah.
Just going to bed really early.
Mm-hmm.
Not going out at night.
Waking up early.
Eating veggies, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes. And fruit.
Hummus.
And fruits. And rice cakes. It's been really fun.
It's been really fun.
It's been a great time hanging out with your mom.
We went to.
She's asleep. Otherwise, we'd have her on the podcast because, like we said, we're staying up late. Right
She
now,
does go to She does go to bed early, and that's not a joke. She's asleep.
No, like she went to bed at 7.
I did have to creep into our room. She's staying in the studio. I had to creep in there to grab the adapter for the Ethernet, and I was afraid I was gonna get yelled at, like I was a little kid.
I know. Isn't that funny? It's like every time I'm around my parents, I kind of, in a way, you sort of revert to being a younger person.
Like I gotta be quiet. I can't wake her up. Like tiptoe.
That's got to be
like,
some
this is my
sort of
house.
like psychological phenomenon.
This is my house. My mom had nothing to do with it. So
Like,
gotta come in here.
Yeah, I know.
That's
It's
just how it
my
is, though.
fucking house.
It's probably
Wake
a good
up.
thing.
Wake up, Mom.
Wake up. Probably a good thing though to have a little bit of reverence for your parents, I guess.
Absolutely. I think it's a thing.
But we went today to the oldest house in Middle Tennessee.
Yeah, we did.
We discovered it's pretty close to us,
Yeah, it's really rad.
and as it turns out, it's a wedding venue.
So, wait, now we're giving it away? Well, we
What?
don't know if we're going to get married there or not.
You
But it
just
would be
gave it
a
away.
good,
I
it would
didn't
be
say
a pretty
anything.
cool wedding
Yeah.
venue.
I didn't say anything. You said
It has a good view. That's all I'm saying.
it's got a good view.
We also, so do you want to talk about what we did on Saturday?
Oh yeah. So my parents, we've vaguely mentioned. I think we've briefly mentioned it. They were part of the Hare Krsna movement in the 70s and 80s.
For 10 years.
For 10 years, meaning they dedicated their lives to that. They lived in the temple. And that's, if you don't know what that is, that's like a Hindu form, kind of offshoot religion that started in India, came here, became pretty popular around that time. That's why I have the name Navene.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a Hindu name. And anyway, there's a farm in like 2 hours away, which was built in the 70s, and it's still there.
What's the name of it?
Morari Seva. And so they have like a temple there. And my mom actually stayed there for a couple weeks when she was like younger. Because they did this when they were like 18 to 28.
Your parents.
Yeah, they met in the movement. They didn't know each other before that. But so I thought it'd be fun. I was like, let's go down and check it out. Well, it turns out that there's only a few people still there.
Yeah, it's a lady and her.
Yeah, it's a lady and her daughters.
Her 3 daughters.
And there's a few other people who are into it who go on Saturday. But they cook a bunch of food for everybody, and they sing and play this
You should
Indian
say what it's called.
drum.
Say what all this stuff
The
is called.
food?
Yeah, say it.
The food is called prasadam. And so
But it's that, well, every day when they eat, every meal is prasadam?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it called something special on the feast days, or it's just called?
There might be. I think they kind of did the Sunday feast.
Mm-hmm.
They started that in like the early days to like get people to come to the temple.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They kind of made that up for the Americans. Like, hey, Sunday feast, let's
Right.
do that. Let's all get together and have a big thing. But yeah, so yeah, they make food and they offer it to Krishna, to God. And then after that, like they make a plate of it and they kind of they put it in front of these. They're called deities. But they're like, I guess you'd call them statues of the forms, different forms.
Oh, speaking of statues, so I guess I should explain first that the guru who your parents were initiated under and the guru that they followed was Prabhupada.
Yeah, he brought it here from India.
Was Prabhupada.
Yeah.
And they had like a statue, a plastic statue of him because
It's stone.
Oh, it's stone.
Yeah.
They have a stone statue of him. And that's what I was going to ask. Is there a stone statue of Prabhupada in every temple?
I think in every ISKCON temple. That's
Okay.
his society that he formed.
Did that just happen after he left this planet?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
so before there was no...
No.
Okay, gotcha.
He's not like the god, you know?
No, he's the guru.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just didn't know if because I didn't know if like a guru, if that was a thing, because he obviously couldn't be everywhere at once.
Yeah, yeah. No. They that came after later.
Got you.
For sure. Yeah. So it was pretty fun. It was a good time.
I mean, so essentially
great.
it's a house, right? It's a farm. There's a house on the farm. The farm had kind of been overgrown from what I understand. And the woman who lives there now with her 3 daughters is from the Atlanta temple, but came and took over this property and is trying to get it back in good shape. So she has a bunch of goats and 3 amazing dogs and cats running around the property.
Yep.
And so you walk in, there's a main house, and that's the temple.
Yeah, basically.
And there's
the property so there used to be a lot of people who lived there, like in the 70s and 80s. It was like a commune, basically. But they had tons of these all over the country. Like the Hare Krsna movement was huge here. And they had, like my parents have told me that in...
George Harrison was
George
Hare
Harrison
Krishna.
made it really big. I believe one of the reasons why it was so popular was because of George Harrison.
Definitely. I mean, he put it in his own songs.
Yeah, he put it in, and like he was way into the philosophy. He's like vegetarian and stuff. And but yeah, they used to have like apartment buildings in New York, like where the whole block was like both sides of the street. Everybody.
They still do in Chicago, apparently.
Yeah. So and it's still really big in other parts of the world. Like in Russia, it's getting really, really big.
It's fascinating.
But I mean, they're vegetarian. They believe in reincarnation, karma, these sorts of things. It's
Eastern philosophy.
Yeah.
Think of the things that you made. There may be some stereotypes of Eastern philosophy, and it's a lot of, it's got things in common with Buddhism.
To an extent.
But to a very small
heavily
extent,
believe in God.
To a very small extent, but from someone who may not understand any Eastern philosophy at all, I think that you can at least...
I think my mom did say that at first. She was like, I thought I was going to a Buddhist temple, and then wound up in...
Right.
But the philosophy is really cool. I love it. Over the last since the pandemic started, even though I was raised around it, I didn't really know that much about it, and I started reading like the Bhagavad Gita is like their main book. But a lot of Hindu religions read that book, but people interpret it in different ways. And so I've been reading that a lot, like since the pandemic, and different spiritual books and stuff. So it was actually really cool for me to go back to a temple and kind of get the whole experience.
Yeah.
But it was, so they sing songs. We do a little bit of studying of the Bhagavad Gita, which was really cool. It's in like verse format. So we read some of the verses in Sanskrit. And Cheney did it too, which I was amazed by.
Well, for the record, we just went thinking that we were going for the Sunday feast, but it was on Saturday.
Yeah.
And we ended up like actually being a part of the class, and there were only like 10 people there. So what they do at this particular temple is include everyone in the reading. Like you go around the room and everyone reads a bit of the text, and you have to sing in Sanskrit. Everyone has to sing a solo in Sanskrit around the room.
Man, I can't believe that Cheney's gonna do this, but Cheney, man, you stepped up and nailed it. It was amazing.
I thought it was
And
awesome.
you did a really good job.
I
too.
also got complimented on my pronunciation of all of the Sanskrit words, but what they didn't know is that I like know some stuff about it just from being around your
hearing
parents.
us talk about it.
Plus,
and
I've
everything.
kind of like I like to ask a lot of questions when I'm getting to know someone, and I've asked your parents, well, just out of curiosity and because I think it's so fascinating, I've asked both of your parents a lot of stuff.
Yeah. I think honestly it's really cool, and there's that documentary I would recommend people watch
Oh yeah,
about the whole
that's
thing
really
that
cool.
came out I think in 2020.
What was it called?
It's called Hare Krsna, the mantra, the movement, something like that.
Yeah. I
I'll
think
put a link to it in the
I
description.
think that the Hare Krishna movement is incredibly misunderstood because
yeah.
it appeared in the 70s when a lot of cults also were happening, like kids were running out, and there were actually people in the 70s. I don't know if are you okay with me saying that your grandparents like had that guy?
No, that's fine. That's
Okay,
all good.
so
Yeah.
in the 70s there were
It was a
actually
big thing in my
people
family.
that parents would hire to go and try to get their kids out of cults. And Navene's grandparents hired someone to do that for Mark, his dad.
Yeah.
It was like a serious thing.
They didn't go through
thought,
with it though.
oh, they didn't go through with it. Well, your dad would have outsmarted him, my
dad was like way into it, so he was like, I wanted that to happen.
Yeah,
because I would have just been like, bring it on.
Yeah,
Let's
he
go.
would have loved to prove him wrong.
Yeah.
And you can actually look up their interviews on YouTube of Hare Krishna's getting in like
They debate the guy.
they debate the
Yeah.
guy who is out trying to get these brainwashed people back. But so being Hare Krishna, I think, got a super bad rap because it came about in the 70s when all of these like druggy cults were a thing. And no one who was in the Hare Krishna movement did any drugs. That was actually like 100% what they were against.
Yeah, you're not allowed to do anything like that.
You have to completely just you're praying all
Dedicated.
day. Yeah,
Yeah,
you have to be
completely
completely
dedicated.
dedicated. You give up all material possessions.
Yeah.
So it gets a bad rap, but it's actually a super fascinating thing to learn about, I think.
I think it is probably one of the most amazing things.
Yeah, and it
for me.
was just really cool to go and experience it for a day, and especially your mom has mentioned this, just like Southern Hare Krishnas, because
know,
it's
it's
like
funny.
doubly kind.
I know. They're really and then they're talking about like using all these like Sanskrit and Indian terms in a Southern accent.
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of like it's odd,
Totally. Yeah.
and it's really cool.
So we like did kirtan. That's what it's called. Kirtan. So that's when they play like a
It's like
radanga.
I put
That's
a sample
exactly
of it.
what it is. Yeah. And you like dance around.
Yeah, but it's like really structured and like they got it super down. Yeah, their program.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. It was a 2-hour drive, but honestly, I think we're gonna go back.
Yeah, we'll probably go
We're gonna
back.
go back.
It was well
It's a good
worth
time,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the food is amazing, by the way. It's the best food.
I mean, it's Indian food.
It's so good.
Come on.
Yeah.
And then there was some nanner pudding.
There was some nanner pudding.
Nanner pudding.
too,
It
to
was
go with
so
it.
good. But yeah, it was fun, and it was cool to experience that.
I know. I was thinking, man, what is? I'm like used to it, but it is. If you're not used to it, it's odd. It's not something that you see all the time.
Yeah,
And I didn't really like prepare Cheney for it. I was just kind of like, okay, when everybody like bow, you have to like get on the ground and like bow down. Like,
I just fucking followed.
I was like, all right.
I'm doing
only thing I told her was
whatever
like, you
everyone
got to
else is
bow
doing.
when everybody else bows. But
Yeah,
like,
I did it.
I didn't realize that.
It's not
like,
quite bowing. It's like getting on the ground.
Yeah, it's getting on the ground.
But see, if you've gone to church, you've experienced like
Yeah.
extreme
That's
people
true.
who are extremely religious before, so it's no different. It's just another. And also, I really am into philosophy, so I like learning about
Yeah.
all philosophies.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, and
lot of fun.
the people are nice, and the farm animals
Awesome.
were the
farm
best
animals.
part. The
Yeah,
dogs,
really cool. The
yeah,
goats.
loved that.
They had huge dogs
They did,
to protect the goats.
yeah, from the coyotes because it's on like a 300-acre farm.
Yeah.
But also, I would encourage if anyone just wants to check it out. It's a super peaceful place.
Yeah.
Go and check it out just to see the land, the property. It's pretty cool.
Agreed. They're, yeah.
But, yeah.
It's for everybody to check out.
So that was rad, and we've been doing a lot of stuff with your mom, going to tourist attractions and going to a lot of antique
I know.
stores.
My mom loves her some antiques,
She
man.
does. She loves
Tell you
antiques.
what.
I'll tell you what, some of these antique stores are more like museums because there's no way you're ever going to be able to afford
Expensive
anything
stuff.
in them.
Yeah.
See,
Well, she doesn't. She goes for the ultra deals. She's
Yeah.
not going to these.
she's trying to deal the antiques, deal the stuff.
Yeah. But she did find out about some outlet, bargain, Goodwill outlet here.
Well,
or
she goes
something.
to the Goodwill bins,
Yeah, the bins.
which is like the cool place to go if you're trying to get, like, you know, a lot of people who get vintage shirts because those are all in vintage band shirts. They'll go to the Goodwill bins, and so she got a
doesn't
bunch
do
of
that,
shit
though.
there.
She doesn't get shirts.
No,
It's not her thing.
so she got a bunch of stuff there, and yeah, it's been a good time. But all right, let's get into some questions. I think that's enough about our week.
Yeah. So another thing we could answer somehow on the first episode, there was like highlights. I didn't do it.
Who did it?
How did that happen?
Oh,
You know?
like on YouTube, if you
Yeah.
like scroll through, it's just when people start watching the videos, it'll like automatically figure out what parts people
Dude,
are watching the most.
It was bizarre because the highlights said like the questions. I know, it was crazy.
Wow.
It was like video or key highlights, and then it had like the question. It was really
That's
bizarre.
weird.
I don't know if like somebody, maybe a Golden Lobster did it. Can you do that or?
I would need to look into it.
It's really weird.
I don't know.
I was like, how do they know this?
Well, we answered a couple of questions on the first podcast that we're gonna go back and answer.
we were thinking maybe we could answer
Let's do
this.
it in between the
Yeah.
other people's questions. So
Do we
let's-
have any questions?
We have a bunch of questions.
Okay.
Oh God.
Nice. Do the questions usually come in like while the podcast is happening?
So they stack up a little bit before, and then a
Okay.
bunch of people ask in Twitch, and then also people ask in the Discord.
Oh yeah, because I don't
Got
even
it.
think I mentioned on this episode, we go live on Twitch every Tuesday at 8:30 Central Standard, and
Subscribe.
we are putting out a new song next week.
That's right. You heard it
on
right.
Wednesday.
You heard it right.
ENTHEOS is putting out a new song. We have a music video coming out next Wednesday. If you watch us on Twitch, and also if you hear this, I'm just giving it away to you guys. We're putting out a limited edition merch drop with the single, but we're putting it out while we're on Twitch. So that's 8:30 next week. We'll give you the link on Twitch. That's how you'll get it. And you will have first access to all of the limited edition merch. And that's that. Also,
We're
just
giving you guys
listen
a
to our
little-
freaking
yeah.
song. Please watch the music video. It would mean the world to us.
Hit like.
Hit like, subscribe. All right, yeah, let's get into some questions.
All right. First one for today comes from Rob McCambridge. Question for the pod: what is your spirit animal and why?
Spirit animal.
Okay. Lately, I've been really into the wild boar.
Really?
Yeah, that thing is just really badass, man.
Huh.
It's got these tusks. It's like super hairy.
It
and
does have
just-
tusks.
I mean, I don't know. It seems. I don't know if are those things predators? Are they? I don't know anything about them, but
No,
I've been
I
thinking
think
about-
they might be because they get shot. I think it's because they just, like, Texans get up in helicopters and
yeah.
go after them.
Well, I've been like trying to get Midjourney to make like a super badass boar. It's been really not working at all, but I've been into the boar lately, so I'm gonna go with boar, wild boar.
I'd say mine is a jungle cat of any kind. Any kind
That's
of
true.
jungle cat. A tiger, a cougar, a mountain lion. I don't think those are in the jungle. Black panther, just a regular panther.
House cat.
Uh,
House cat.
house cat.
Pappy.
Pappy is definitely. Pappy sleeps under blankets now, which is weird, and that is very me. I like to sleep under blankets.
Is he still outside?
Any kind of cat of any kind, a jungle cat. That's
Cats.
my spirit animal.
She likes cats. I don't know. Since we live with cats, I feel like I already know what's up with like being a cat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of got it.
I feel like I could do it.
I get it.
I could be a cat.
Doesn't seem that cool.
I'd be the best cat, obviously, if I was a cat. If I were a cat. That's
Okay.
like Beyonce's song.
That's what I was thinking of.
If I were a cat,
What would you do? What kind of stuff would you do?
I'd meow every day.
You know what I would do if I was a cat? I would run super fast.
I'd run
Because
super
they can run really fast.
Because they can run fast.
Try
Right.
chasing Pappy, dude. And he's probably not a fast cat. You could never catch him. I chase him sometimes when I
I
see him
catch him
outside.
all the time because what house cats do is they run and then they just plop on the ground.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying if he's out, sometimes if I see him outside, I'll just start chasing him as fast, and he'll just see
Bolt.
you. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Good answer, everyone.
Harrison, what's your spirit animal? Let's hear it. He did
tough
say for
question.
the pod. He didn't say for.
Yeah.
That's fair. Cheetah for sure. I
Okay.
had an utter
Oh.
obsession with cheetahs when I was a kid. Like bedspread,
What?
curtains,
We
and
learned
everything.
something weird
Alright,
about this
learned
guy.
That's why I
something
have
every
the
week.
every
cheetah
time.
hat. Yeah.
Cheetah.
Okay.
Cheetah man.
I like it.
I like it.
I like it.
Are you going to be
I-
a cheetah for Halloween?
I was already a cheetah for Halloween 3 years in a row. My mom handmade a cheetah outfit. It's ridiculous.
Are there pictures?
Yes, actually.
Okay, we need to see the
Oh,
pictures.
shit. All right, drop them in the Discord.
Drop them in the Discord. All right. What's the next question?
Yeah, let's go.
Next question is from Heaven's Mess. Hey, metal mommies.
Hey, metal poppy.
Where did the logo come from, and who came up with it?
Which
KoperCrabb one?
the KoperCrabb one?
Why not both? ENTHEOS and KoperCrabb.
Okay, the KoperCrabb one we got off of Fiverr.
Yeah, we paid for I think a $5 or maybe
Actually,
15.
Did he made it with? Yeah, he made the whole entire thing.
Yeah, he made the whole thing, and then we have a slight spin on the logo that's on our stickers that Jake Broughton from Wolf King made.
But yeah, we just Fiverr turns out is a great website.
Yeah, I know.
Use promo code Copper. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, that'd be sick if they endorsed us. But we did get our logo off there, and
yeah, we
the
did,
kid did a great job.
and we're
and
still rolling with it.
I actually had him make my little Navene Copperweiss logo that I put at the end of my Instagram videos too.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it was
it's
like
sick.
$20 or something.
And as for our ENTHEOS logo, so we have a few variations on it, and the first initial variations, I think our first record label had an artist. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I can't remember either.
I can't remember his name, but he did the logo, and we've used it ever since. We just wanted a more plain logo, and then we wanted a super metal logo that we could put on merch. So I've had people sort of update the metal logo. This dude, Poison Dust, who we work with all the time, has updated our metal logo and made it a little more metal. But the plain font logo, I've had Alex Goulet kind of flip our metal
there's
logo.
Like also, the original logo has like a little bit of an upgrade. To
Yeah.
it.
But we still use for, albums and banners and everything that's sort of official tours. We still use that plain font one that we got at the beginning off when we were on Artery.
But the idea for the KoperCrabb logo was just pretty obvious. I'm like, we got to have a crab with headphones on, like it's doing a podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe that was my idea.
That was definitely your idea. And it had to be a metal logo.
Was KoperCrabb? Who thought of that?
Me.
Yep.
Genius. I'm a fucking
Genius.
dude. We kind of had a little debate over whether we should, because you were like, that name's cheesy.
Really? I was hating
Because
on it?
we had another
idiot.
name. We had another name, and I can't remember what it was.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Hanging out with Navene and Cheney.
Nothing would have been as good. Sorry, I'm choking to death
On the non-alcoholic beer.
on the non-alcoholic beer. Whoa. All right, next question.
I'm going to have a non-hangover tomorrow.
I'm going to have a gym. Go to the gym.
Dirt Jump asks, I would like to know if Navene has any electronic drum kits he would recommend for a home studio. Also curious about what he would recommend for a small acoustic setup that is basic for a small studio.
Oh, God. Well, electronic drums suck.
What?
They're so shot.
Well, there are some
I guess
that
get like
actually
the
don't suck at
$5,000
all.
like V drum one. There you go. I don't know. I would say, God, I don't really have a good answer for the E-kit one.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think you're better off with like a cheap electronic set or like a full practice pad set?
It depends on what you're going for. Like practicing, I don't really like practicing on an E-kit. I would rather just practice with practice pads for sure.
You know what I would rather practice? You know what's the best practice pad kit? There are these silent heads. Who sells those? Is it Pearl?
Remo has silent stroke heads, and
Yeah.
there's
The silent.
I know, but the new Evans ones are way better.
Really?
Yeah, I'll
Well, but the Remo one. Does Evans have the silent stroke heads?
yeah. They have
Oh.
like the snare one. They put like plastic on the bottom, and it's a mesh head, so it has like snares,
Okay.
and
Oh, yeah.
it sounds rad.
Have you checked out his yet?
No.
I just
Oh,
got it. Yeah.
Yeah, Navene has all of the silent stuff. He's got like the silent cymbals and everything.
Like
he
that's
just got.
really. I would way rather play
That's what
that
I would
than
get.
an e-kit just for
That's
practicing.
100% what I would get because it's got a similar bounce to an actual kit, whereas an e-kit, it totally varies what
Yeah,
kind
it's
of like.
such a pain in the
Yeah.
ass, dude. Honestly, man. Okay, I'm gonna give you some actual info here. I would say instead of doing an e-kit, get yourself any drum kit with some semi-decent cymbals and like 4 mics, and just mic the cymbals
Mhm.
and sound replace the drums.
What if you put
That's what I would
put
do,
mesh
100%.
heads
That's what
on
I
the
used to do.
drums?
I did do that. Yeah.
Put mesh heads on the drums.
Yeah.
That's the best e-kit that
Yeah.
I've ever played is the mesh heads on drums. It's got a similar bounce back. It like plays like a real kit kind of. It's still
What
not a
were
real
those
kit.
drums that Dustin had that were
Those
Heart?
were the best.
Those are pretty cool. I would look for some of those on eBay. Heart Dynamic.
He kind of like pieced together his own
Yeah.
kit.
Those are really sick.
But our friend Lucas has the sickest, but I think he paid like $10,000
Yeah, I know.
for
So,
it.
I mean, for it to actually be fun to play, you have to get one of these crazy expensive
Just piece
ones.
together a kit. I think that would cost a lot less. You can find mesh heads. You just kind of have to be a little thrifty.
And you also have to know, if you're going to do that, you got to really know how to tweak the settings on the module. It's a
Honestly,
fucking pain in
dude,
the ass. It
are we
sucks.
talking about if you're trying to record,
Don't do it.
it might be just worth your money to go and pay to go to a studio because it's
That's what I told a band recently.
yeah.
They were like, I can't remember who it was, but they were going to, like, oh, we're going to do the drums on an e-kit. And I'm like, dude, just find a studio anywhere.
Yeah, just find a
just
studio.
to get some lines. And then worst case scenario, your drum tones totally suck.
Mhm.
Sound replace the drums.
Yeah.
Use the cymbals.
The cymbals, that's what I'm worried about is
Yeah.
that I don't think that because if you're having to get a practice kit, an e-kit, I'm assuming it's because you can't make that much noise.
Okay.
So if it's in the case that you can't make noise, then the cymbals are just it's never going to sound like a real cymbal.
Yeah.
So just go to a studio, get the cymbals. Worst case scenario, you have to do it all in one day. You fuck up a bunch of parts. You can like kind of, work on quantizing it and do all that
Yeah.
shit and then sound replace it. But at least you'll have good sounding cymbals.
But to be honest, though, and like to not fuck anybody around, if you really need to use an e-kit, I get it.
Totally.
And I would probably just spring for one that's like good to go, kind of like the one that we got from my brother. It's like a Roland, even a
Oh,
lower
yeah.
end one.
yeah.
As long as it has MIDI out on it, it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
I would go for one of those.
I think those are like $300. They're kind
I
of.
think it was a little more than that,
Oh, really?
but I would say definitely go. They don't endorse me, but I would get a Roland one.
Yeah.
Sorry to say.
The thing with a lot
That's
of
where I'm at.
e-kits is just that it's just hard to get a natural feel.
Yeah.
It's just really hard.
But that's just because I haven't ever had a super. I had the 2-box one, which was pretty cool, but didn't have mesh heads.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, not that cool.
Right. You
But,
gotta go mesh head.
You gotta
I
get the
think.
mesh.
Yeah.
But like Dustin's was pretty cool.
Dustin's
Our
was
friend,
great.
he spent a lot of time piecing it together, and that's
Yeah, I
probably
think
not what we
I
wanna do.
fear that he may have spent a lot of money.
He tried to sell me those, by the way.
Yeah, we should have bought it. That's
I'm like, I can just play drums in my house. I don't
back
need a freaking
before
kit."
I lived in a house with all the sickest drum kits in it. I thought that Dustin had the best setup. I've
Yeah.
recorded my bands have recorded songs on
Yeah.
Dustin's e-kit.
It's not terrible. And if you use the sample library that I have coming out soon,
There we go. Bada bing.
those cymbals sound fucking sick.
Bada bing. Wait, I think that he asked if he
More
should
about
get
that.
if he should get a nice kit instead of the
He
drums,
said like a
E-drums.
cheap kind of kit.
Yeah, cheap acoustic.
Oh, dude, go
Thomas
cheap,
Silverstar.
Yeah, go cheap acoustic.
Thomas Silverstar. Those are cheap. They sound great. I have one.
And you can replace it
love
and throw some mesh heads on it if you need the quiet.
There you go. You could do that.
Bada bing, bada boom. All right, next
That was
question.
probably not a good answer, but
Sorry, I keep clearing my goddamn throat.
I know you don't ever have to clear your throat until you get on a podcast.
I know,
And
someone-
then every 5 seconds I have to clear my throat.
Someone like
It's crazy.
said something on one of the podcasts because I'll like see the comments on YouTube sometimes, and he was like, "Oh, 1 second in, we get our first Cheney throat clear." It's like
It's weird.
I'm sorry. I'm actually sorry. I don't know why I all of a sudden have this urge to clear my throat the minute I'm on a podcast, but.
We need to make an official bingo card.
Yeah, I know.
Cheney clearing her throat. Well, that should be the whole bingo. It'll just be the one game.
All right. My brother has said, I want to hear about that hat,
The captain hat.
the captain hat.
Does it have a drum kit on it?
Yes, this hat is very sentimental to me. It's come down from a long line of Copperwise men.
Well, there are a lot of captains in your family.
A lot of captains, a lot of ship riding. My grandpa actually did ride here in a ship from Germany.
Yeah, because he's a captain.
So,
He directed it.
so in reality, Harrison has been bringing over silly hats because he has unlimited silly hats. I'm not really sure why,
I have a crab hat,
which is amazing.
which fits me perfectly. As a
But the
person
thing,
with
I don't
the
know if you
last
guys have
name
noticed,
Crab.
I go through and I pick one that's actually cool.
They're all
Didn't I
super
do
cool.
that? Did I not do that?
I mean, I could actually wear this in like East Nashville or something, and people would be like, well, "Who's that guy in the hat over there?"
They'd
You
be
know?
like, "Oh my god, that's so cool, that captain over
Yeah.
there." I've
I don't
actually
know
seen
about
guys.
that one that you got.
I
on.
gotta be honest. Whenever I see a guy with a captain hat on, I'm like,
I'm like, yeah, douche,
what's up with
but
that, dude?
I'm saying it's cool. It's cooler than a crab hat.
Is it? Because I look like I'm having fun. You look like a guy who's out there trying to get chicks and be in a D-bag.
That's true.
Right?
That's
Damn,
true.
I just
That's true.
like went
I know,
straight
that's
for
true.
it. I was
Wow.
like, boom, how dare you make fun of my
Yeah,
hat?
I stand corrected. A D-bag.
Okay.
Womanizer.
Sorry, but I didn't mean it. I didn't mean that. Please, no one get mad at me for saying that. I didn't mean it. You can wear a captain hat and I'll think you're cool. All right, next question.
We have a
Well-being.
voicemail.
We have a
from-
voicemail.
Voicemail.
from Jake wanting to give her a little recap of
Oh,
the
he
show.
gave us a recap on us. Awesome.
Did he leave a voicemail on the Discord?
No, he went to
called
the-
in.
to
Wow.
the hotline.
Oh,
Dang. All
old school.
right. Well, if for those of you, we have our chief correspondent, Jake.
Jake Scrap Pile.
And
I have on a
last week-
Scrap Pile shirt this week, everyone.
Last week we heard that he was they were going to play
Scrap
their
Pile
first out of town show,
in Arkansas
and let's see how it went.
or our Kansas.
Arkansas.
Hey guys, this is Jake from Scrap Pile. Wanted to give you an update from last week where I was on there live and talking about our first out-of-state show in Arkansas. Not able to call in live this week, so if you want to play this, you can.
We're playing it.
So basically what happened was that the van that we were supposed to take, that someone was supposed to drive us there in, ended up breaking the night before
I
we
thought
were
the guy was
supposed
a
to leave.
mechanic.
So we didn't get to take that. So
Classic.
last minute, we had to pack everything up in my pickup truck,
Oh,
and the four of us, I drove us all the way to Arkansas and all the way back. I drove the entire time because I don't really trust anyone else with my truck.
yeah.
We packed all the gear and hauled ass over there, and it was in this middle of nowhere town called Cord, like a bungee cord, C-O-R-D, and it is at like the top of the state, and it is in the middle of nowhere, and it's at this dude's house, and he just has a bunch of land out there in the middle of the woods, and he just kind of does whatever he wants.
Didn't they have a legit
And
headliner?
he paid us pretty good to go out there. I don't know what he paid Internal Suffering. I'm sure he
Internal
paid them
Suffering.
pretty good. But yeah, we went out there and just played a house party with Internal Suffering and Insidious Discrepancy.
That's Insidious
Drove 9.5
Discrepancy.
hours up there, 9.5 back. Well, it was more than that with stopping and having to take a nap every once in a while. But it was a hell of a weekend. It was pretty crazy for our
That
first,
actually sounds pretty
out-of-state
sick.
I know.
show, and it's definitely one that I'm going to remember.
All right.
That's
he
awesome.
made
Good with you guys. Thanks.
He made it
That's
sound
amazing.
like it sucked.
I
But
know.
that sounds like it was a win.
Dude, I wish I was there. I
I
want to
know.
go to a house party. So we were just talking about house parties like a week or two ago, wondering where they're at and why we're not invited to them.
For those of you who don't know, that's true. For those of you who don't know, Insidious Discrepancy is like a one-man DM band. He plays guitar and does vocals, and then has a drum machine.
Wow, Navene, you're like a DM librarian.
If it's stuff from back in my day, then yeah, I know quite a bit about it.
Wow. Yeah, so I would have loved to see that show. That's probably
I
sick
know,
as
that
hell.
would have been hella sick.
Jealous. I really want to play a house show. If anyone has a house with a show going on,
Let me know.
our band won't be in town probably all at the same time to play it, but we will think about you and we'll come to it.
Well, you know what? That's like the true first out-of-town experience.
Sean Whitaker is his name.
Sean Whitaker, dude. That's the first out-of-town experience. You know, they had a van breakdown.
Of course.
Had no vehicle, had to just barge it all in the truck.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
respect.
It wouldn't be a first out of town show.
Respect
if
for making
wasn't
it,
like a
you know?
shitload of problems.
Sorry, I just had to point out, since you called Cheney out on it twice, you just shoved her camera a little bit.
Oh, wow.
Shit,
Oh,
dude,
oh.
damn.
Look who's shoving cameras now, Navene.
Well, Cheney was pissed getting all crazy on my camera. Just hitting
Are you
the
really?
fucker.
Wow. He's not gonna take.
All right, my
You're not
bad.
gonna be like, yeah, I messed up.
My
I
bad.
did
I'm
the.
really sorry. Well, I just don't really remember hitting it. You know what I mean?
Oh my god. This is, you see, yeah. God damn it, Navene. All right, next question.
All right.
It's the fucking captain's hat, dude.
And I didn't take this thing off.
Got more
too,
hats.
He's too powerful.
Just bring the cool ones for me.
I'll trade right here.
That one is not cool.
It is the coolest. It is
All right,
a
let's trade so
classic.
everybody can see what's going on.
Oh, Navene, all your power. Yep.
Look at that beauty.
I think that's a pretty cool hat.
Do you really think that?
Yeah.
Who's cooler? That he looks way cooler in that hat, dude.
I think I would actually rather go up and talk to the captain than the guy who comes to the bar with that hat
Yeah,
on.
because this guy is he's being like an annoying, ironic.
Yeah, he's
dork.
like, "Oh, look at me. I've got a
Yeah.
helicopter hat on.
Yeah.
God.
Although when I was a little kid, I thought this was the coolest hat ever.
Me
I loved
too.
it.
I think Problem Child had one. All right, next
We were just
question.
talking about Problem
I
Child.
know. What did you call him? You were
was
like,
like,
what's that
Troubled
movie
Child?
from the 90s? Troubled Kid? God. It's called Problem Child, dude. Get it together.
Next question is from Lycan Lord. Who are your podcasting influences?
Podcasting influences. Well, when we started the podcast, it was a little different, but one of the reasons that I wanted to start this podcast is because I was so obsessed with your mom's house podcast. And I liked that it was two people who were together, who had the same career path, who were like hilarious together and knew each other better than, they're like best friends. And I thought, wow, Navene and I could probably do that, considering we have a lot of that stuff in common with that podcast. And now I listen to a bunch of podcasts. I listen to the Viral Podcast, I think, is a pretty similar podcast to ours. And I really fucking love that podcast.
Honestly, theirs is like the most similar podcast, I'd say.
Yeah, I think
Kind of just
so.
two people. They don't have guests
They have guests every so often.
like us.
Yeah.
Like we didn't start the podcast to have guests.
No, we didn't.
We just kind of hang. It was just. I don't even know if we ever thought that we were going to even have a guest.
I don't know if we did either. I thought that we might have some guests. And we really with guests, we just like getting people on who we're who we're already sort of friends with and know a bit, because
We're not interested in doing interviews.
Yeah, or like just
so tell me about yourself.
or just
dude.
like getting anyone on the podcast for the sake of having someone on the podcast. That's not quite our thing. We love having people on who we think are interesting, and that's what we try to bring to you guys with our friends who we get on the podcast. It's because we genuinely love those people and we want to bring them on and talk to them about their lives, because they're fascinating and they're good at expressing things they've experienced. Because not every person you get on a podcast, not every person you put in front of a camera is that comfortable with it. And I think that's something that we've really learned over the 3 years of doing a podcast, is that not every single person is like made to
Yeah.
go on a podcast and hang out.
Or our type of podcast.
Yeah.
You know, like we've kind of figured out at this point, we're like, okay, that guy would work on our podcast. It's not
Totally.
like they'd be fine to do like an interview or something like that.
Totally. But it's a little different when because we've never wanted to approach it from a just purely question answer perspective. That's not totally our thing. We want to have organic conversations that do talk about music, but also can go outside of music and explore other things. So we just like try to bring on people who we think are awesome.
They're a good hang.
Yeah, I don't know, where did we start with that? What was the?
I just brought it up.
Okay. What was the initial question?
What the podcasts inspired us? Influenced. The podcasts that I listen to aren't like ours at all, so I don't know.
All of the podcasts I listen to are like comedy podcasts. I listen to, I said Your Mom's House. I listen to Bert Kreischer's podcast. Lately, I've been really into the Girls Next Door podcast where they're going back through. But I mean, I don't know that any of them are like inspiring our podcast directly.
Yeah.
It's just stuff I like to listen to. I think that what inspires our podcast is really you guys. Like that is straight up what has kept us going this entire time is that we've like made this, we have like a world of this golden lobster, KoperCrabb thing. And that's honestly why we keep coming back. It's not another podcast that's influencing us to do this.
That's right.
But yeah, so that for me is.
That's for me too, 100%. I mean, I think I listen to more like informative podcasts.
Yeah.
So they're not necessarily funny.
For sure.
Or hangout. Although I like a good hangout podcast.
Me too. You listen to Viral Podcast with me.
When you're listening to it, yeah.
I think that's the one podcast I listen to that you're like genuinely
like,
you think is
like
funny.
This. Yeah, they're funny. I like them.
They're funny. And I like that about them, that it's just organic conversation and they're funny and they get their friends on and they talk about their world. And, we started the podcast. We were like, well, we can talk about ENTHEOS and touring.
Yeah.
And, we do have all of these cool experiences that it's cool to share with you guys. So.
And if people can learn something here and there,
yeah,
that's all the better.
Mm-hmm. All of the questions and everything. Like,
we love doing the questions.
I can't say that I listen to another podcast that does that stuff.
Yeah.
So
I love it though. I love hearing questions that get answered.
Me too. And I think that it really shines a light on things that we might overlook about touring and about playing music that other people might be curious about. Like last week when we had the question about what touring vehicle is the best. That's something that neither of us would ever think to talk about because that's just kind of like a standard in the touring world. But we're so used to being touring people that we don't really think about, oh, this is something that someone who hasn't toured a bunch would really like to hear about. So the questions are fucking awesome. That inspires us to get on and
take a lot for granted. Just doing this for so long that you don't think about, oh, maybe some people don't know what it's like to pick out a vehicle or take a nap backstage or whatever, all this
or even
little stuff.
Just drive to tour.
Yeah. So it's cool and it's really fun and easy to talk about.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Definitely.
I like that. Cool. All right. Any more? Are we?
I mean, there's always more.
Let's do a couple more.
Yeah, let's do some more.
All right.
And forget about those questions from. Let's just take other people's.
I like
questions.
the other people's questions.
We're answering them indirectly.
From Pickle Rick, how much does song length play into picking a set list?
A lot.
Yeah.
Song length.
Well, you only get a fixed amount of time to play.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Does the length of the song really matter, Cheney? We just try to fit everything in there that we want to play. I mean, we've played we've played short sets that are comprised of like just a couple long songs.
The length of the song starts to matter when the song is a question mark.
Yeah.
So there are songs that we know we're definitely playing these songs during our set. And then you kind of maybe fill in the last couple of minutes with, you see what you're left with.
Yeah.
And honestly, let's say we have like a 40-minute set. If our set brings us to 38 minutes, we're not going to add another song.
Yeah.
But it does start to come into play. Like, you know, I want to play stuff in full, and it's like sometimes we just don't have the time to play an entire album
Right.
or whatever. So it does come into play when you're given an initial offer, like when you're being offered a tour or a show, they put the set length in the offer. And you can kind of haggle with them a little bit. So you might be offered 35 minutes and you're like, we'll take it if you give us $100 more and 10 more minutes or whatever, you know. Usually,
Right.
so a song like does come into play, but
I think on the last tour we were trying to play songs that were a little more upbeat,
yeah, we were.
and that was successful by and large.
Yeah, that honestly is what comes into play.
Yeah.
A lot of the time we're like, what songs are fun to play live? What songs go together?
What songs are going to get people to be hyped?
Yeah. So there's a lot that comes into play. I mean, you know, what are our singles? We don't always play songs we put out as singles live. On the last tour we didn't play any singles.
We played a couple new songs.
Yeah. So
That's more important.
yeah. I like to play current stuff.
We're trying to get things hyped.
Yeah, true.
So we're trying to play the hype songs.
Yep.
It's not like we're a super hype. I don't know. Our music's kind of heady and hype.
Yeah, we
So,
got the heady hype.
Yeah.
For sure. Sometimes we like to also we enjoy somewhat dynamic sets.
Yeah.
Like we throw, you know, we have the song Black Static that's kind of it starts off as a slower jam, and we'll throw that in the middle of the set, or
Yeah.
World Without Us is kind of a slower jam. It just depends. It also the tour sometimes matters in
Yeah.
what, like if we're going out on, let's say we're going out on a tour that's every super death metal band on earth. Let's say we're going out with like Archspire and Origin. Or, you know, we're probably not going to play like a song where there's singing.
Or we're
or
trying
something.
to pick the more crazy DM cuts
Yeah.
at that point.
Right. I mean, we don't always do that. Like, you don't want to cater your band
Not
to
really,
the
but
tour.
you're still picking
but
your songs.
yeah, for sure. Luckily, we have a pretty dynamic catalog
Well,
to
it's
choose
just
from.
the thing is, if you go out with, like you said, let's say you're going out with Archspire and Origin, and you play a bunch of the more slower, deep songs,
Might not
then you're
be
going
the
to get
vibe.
shown up.
Yeah, and you might not.
So
you
you gotta
honestly might not
bring
sell
the
as
hype.
much merch.
Yeah.
Like-
So
like-
bring it with your burner songs.
Yeah, you got to burn that. On that
Yeah.
tour, you're burning.
We have like a diverse kind of set to pick from. So
That's something that I've always enjoyed about our band, is that we can tour with like a dynamic range of bands. You know, like we've toured with the Contortionist, but we've also toured with Archspire. So, or fucking we toured with Intronaut.
Yeah.
Or Dillinger, you know, whoever. It's like,
just be weird.
yeah, be weird. Stay weird.
Cool. Not a Drunk asks, if you met the 15-year-old version of you, how stoked do you think they would be?
To meet me?
To see how far you've come.
Oh,
Oh.
they'd be shocked.
I think that the 15-year-old
That's not a brag.
version of me
I'm
would be
just
shocked
saying,
too.
like, when I was 15, I was just into like super underground death metal and like hardcore and stuff, and I
Mhm.
didn't ever expect to do anything like what we've done.
Same.
I
just
never
loved,
thought that I would do anything like that I've done.
Same. I just loved the shit out of metal, and I would like play music with my friends in their upstairs bedrooms or whatever, you know?
I didn't really look up to bands that were like super big.
Me either.
You know what I mean?
I never
So
did.
I just wanted to do what they did, and what they did, there was not that many people there. I knew that it wasn't this huge thing. Like metal's become a lot bigger than what I thought it could be.
Totally. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, all the shows that I grew up on, they were like, I don't know, maybe 200 people there
Yeah,
max.
I
It's
know.
like I straight up come from the local scene and
just
going
wanted
to
to do
local
that.
shows, and the fact that my band has ever played a show in front of like 20 people is more than
Yeah, it's amazing.
15-year-old me would even fucking imagine, straight up.
Yeah. And I think like people shouldn't be jaded. You know, it's like
I know.
It's amazing to play music for people who like it.
You know, I thought about that today too. Because Metal Blade is 100% my favorite label. They've put out albums that have meant the entire world to me. And today Metal Blade posted a video of you, and I shared it, and it's just like I watched that and I was just like, "Oh my God." Like my band is signed to my favorite metal label on the entire fucking planet.
That's crazy.
Even like 10 years ago, I would never have imagined that. And seeing them rep ENTHEOS and post our stuff, that's just never going to get old to me. Seeing fucking Metal Blade Records post our stuff. And I'm never going to take that for granted.
Yeah.
I just never will, because it means so much to me that I just can't even fathom that that's a reality in my life, that people who work at Metal Blade like know about my band.
I know.
That's fucking crazy. So
That's really cool.
I never want to lose sight of any of that stuff. I always want to be 15-year-old Cheney.
Yeah, it still amazes me just to get to go rip it. It's really cool.
Yeah, totally.
So I think 15-year-old me would be like, dang, that's crazy. And I get like endorsements and stuff. Like I would have.
Just
I don't
insane.
even think that crossed my mind. That I didn't even know what that was.
Being on a tour didn't cross my mind. Playing an out-of-state show.
Yeah.
I never would have dreamt of that. Just, I mean, it's, yeah, I would be. But with that being said, I still kind of am. I haven't changed a whole lot. I've matured and grown and gotten into new stuff.
You can still appreciate that it's rare and awesome.
Yeah, but I'm still like, no, also, yeah, I'm just like, I am that 15-year-old. Like I said, yeah. It's still the same person. Still love metal. That would surprise me that I even still listen to metal, because so many people would tell you, oh, it's just a phase. And they really did think that. But
Maybe it's just a really long phase and you'll be out of it pretty soon.
in like 10 years, I'm going to be like, you know what?
Not my thing.
It's just noise. Why do they scream? It's fucking weird. You can't understand anything they say. But yeah.
All right, what do you think? One more?
Yeah, one more.
All right. Bindi Irwin asks, if you were given the opportunity to make first contact with an alien race, what would be the one thing you'd ask them?
Oh, that's deep.
I don't know. One thing? Well, I want to ask them all of these like
I'd be like, how
questions
many
that are-
other alien races are there?
Yeah, or how long have you inhabited Earth for a long time? Have you always been around?
Be like, what's going on?
Yeah, or okay, this is what I would ask. The Bible, all of the things they're talking about, like in religion, and just religions, is that aliens?
Be like, you guys
Is
know
that
what
you
this
guys?
religion thing is? Have you heard of that? What's going on there?
Yeah. Is it because you guys showed up and they were tripping balls on like whatever they were
What if
grasses
they just like
they were
corroborated
eating?
a bunch of stuff? And you're like, whoa.
Yeah, that would be nuts.
I guess Christianity doesn't really talk about alien planets, right?
No.
So that would be probably problematic.
Oh, it would be incredible. It would be problematic for a lot of things, not
Yeah.
just that.
Okay.
How is Earth formed? Do they have an?
It's like, how long have you known about this planet?
Yeah. Well, how long have you been? That's what I'm saying.
Why are you
How long
guys
have you been
holding
here?
out on us?
Yeah. All right. Let's do one more question.
Assuming they can speak English.
First, we'd have to be like, "Do you speak English?"
That'd be fucking crazy. That'd be, if you really think about it, how crazy that would be.
Do you feel like?
I could see it happening,
Do you
dude.
feel, because
I can see it,
don't
man.
know if you guys feel like this, but I feel like a lot more people lately who are who can be vouched for, who are like actual government officials, have come forward talking about seeing unidentified flying objects and things like that. Like there are more, and now there's more video. So there are things that have been released that look like actual UFOs or. So what was I gonna? Do you feel like maybe whoever's in charge is like letting these things through, this phenomenon, the phenomena through, to prepare us for an alien landing, to prepare
I
us
could
for
see it
aliens
happening,
showing
man.
up.
I could see it happening. Be crazy.
That's something to chew on.
I'll talk to him. Want to talk to him? Let's get the 411 on what's
All right,
going
last
on
question. Last question of the night.
We have a live caller if you guys are interested.
Oh, who is it?
Here. All right. I'm
Uh,
on.
Is it our dude?
no, it's someone new.
New
It's
caller.
someone
All right.
new?
There we go.
All right.
I'll take the new
All right,
caller.
we're-
Let's go.
All right.
Caller. Identify yourself.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey,
Yo, yo.
Yo.
Who are we talking to? Can he only hear you?
can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear
Can
you.
you not hear us?
No, I can hear you.
Okay. Who are we talking to?
Oh, this is Amber from Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Yo,
Okay.
what's up, Amber?
What's up?
How's it going?
How are you doing?
Pretty good. So, long-time listener, first-time caller.
Okay.
Hell yeah. There we go.
You are the third caller of all time, so
Sick. So, question. Recently at work, one of my coworkers saw my leg and I had a huge ass bruise on it. And that is because I went to a show recently. And that was from a death metal set, Vomit Forth. Have you guys heard of that band?
I
Did
don't
they just
think
put
so.
out a record? I think I just checked out their record. Or wait, no,
Yeah, Seething Malevolence.
I might be thinking of Tomb Mold, but I have heard of Vomit Forth. I need to check that out.
Yeah,
We'll check it out in the
So-
post show.
Yeah, we will.
for sure. So my coworker, when he saw my leg, he was like, "Oh, how did that happen?" And he's a much older guy. He's like in his 60s. And I was just like, "Oh, I was like, you know metal? You know metal music?" And he's like, yeah, like, AC/DC, Metallica. And I was like, okay, yeah.
Yep.
It's a good start.
He was like, I told him, I was like, well, I got it from moshing. He was like, oh, what is that? And I was like, oh, I didn't know how to describe moshing without sounding like a psychopath.
Yeah.
Right.
So my question to you is, how would you describe moshing to somebody who has no idea what moshing is?
Okay.
Whoa.
All right. All right. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, thanks for calling in, Amber. We'll
Nice to
answer
talk
that.
to you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great to talk
for
to you.
sure.
Are we gonna see you at
Yeah.
that? Are you gonna be at the brunch on Sunday?
I sure am.
Hell yeah, we'll see you
Awesome.
there, dude.
Sick. I can't wait to see you guys.
Hell yeah.
All right. So that's cool that we have callers.
I know.
Wow, that was
It's
amazing.
so rad.
Yeah. I'm glad she
Describing
called in.
moshing, that's like a really hard question to answer too.
I would say so. I got this.
Okay.
I would say, well, this type of music is kind of more based on like aggression, and it's extremely rhythmic and fast. So it kind of makes people want to like move around. So there's the
Right.
audience, and then there's in the center, there's a bunch of people who decide to start really moving around a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and they sort of bounce off of each other like atoms.
Damn. That was good. That was good.
Man, I should have said that. I totally should have said that.
I'd say, yeah, people start running around and they kind of smash into one another.
Just play the guy at work this part of the podcast. All right, I got a good explanation for you, man.
For sure. I think I said something like, "Oh, it's when people just kind of push each other around to the music. It's consensual. We're all having
Yeah,
fun,
that-
unless
that-
you get crowd killed."
Yeah, it's playful pushing.
So that would be hard to explain. I can explain like just a good old mosh pit.
I can
but
also hardcore dancing.
I don't know if I could really explain that. I'd be
Hardcore
like, I don't know
dancing
why,
is like
but
when
that's what they
people
do.
windmill in the middle of the pit. I don't know. Did you guys do that? Like when I was a kid, people would practice in their basement hardcore dancing.
Oh, we used to do that.
That was
Oh,
like a
man.
thing.
Fuck yeah. We used to have
Totally was.
full-on mosh pits in our room and stage dive
Yeah,
when we were
Really?
kids. Fuck yeah.
dude.
That's sick. I was never into hardcore dancing. I don't know, but I appreciate it for what it is. It just was never my thing. But totally with moshing for sure.
The thing with hardcore dancing is I always felt like I was gonna get punched in the face if I
Yeah.
got in one of those pits because I'm a pretty small, short person, and like someone with long arms could just take me the fuck out with one of those windmills. It'd be
know.
over for me, lights out.
If I'm near the
Well, there
pit,
were-
I put my elbow up in front of my face, and then I get back on one leg and put my knee out.
Yeah.
That's the
They were
move.
touring. They were touring with hardcore bands, like exclusively. So there were a ton of
Okay.
like hardcore kids at the show, and I got crowd killed so many times.
Is that
But
what
I
happened
knew
to
what I was
your,
getting into.
Is that what that? So how did your leg get bruised?
Yeah.
Well, I was up against. So it was at this small like vintage clothing store downtown called Poor Taste, and they have brick walls. And so
Oh,
I was
shit.
up against the brick wall, just like trying to kind of be out of the way. And the dude, I mean, he just full blown threw his entire body at me, like foot first, and he just kicked the shit out of me.
Oh,
Okay.
So,
that's
I mean,
rough.
it's okay.
Damn.
It's okay. I knew what I was getting into. I've been going to shows for a hot minute, so
Yeah,
it's all
straight
good.
up. I know it's like we all kind of expect it, right? It's an unwritten law that all of us are subject to potentially be bruised. and
Last time I
beaten.
was moshing, I had a bloody nose.
True.
That
I
wasn't
Yeah.
even that long ago.
Dude, I still have a huge like God, what's it called? I can't think of it. I have a hematoma on my leg because I got thrown into the side of a monitor.
Oh shit!
In the corner of it, and like after I got thrown into it, I couldn't fucking breathe. It was the worst pain ever, and it's
Oof.
the hematoma has been there for 3 years. So
It's like a golf ball.
yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good. I should
think-
get it removed.
I think the worst I had was during Oceano many years ago. A guy stage diving kicked me right in the temple,
Oh,
and like I literally saw stars. Like I thought that was just a myth. No, for sure. I was so out of it. And I was driving me and my old roommate home that night, and I was like swerving and shit. He's like, "Dude, are you okay?" And I was like, "I think you need to drive." Like,
whoa.
Damn.
I'm not feeling good. But I made it through the rest of the show. But that shit sucked.
That's okay, this isn't a story about a mosh pit. This is just a story about on stage. I saw cattle decapitation maybe in 2008 at this place called People's Court in Des Moines, and they were playing, and Josh, their guitar player, was like, doing the riffs, and a huge can stage light fell from about at least 10, maybe 15 feet up and just smacked him in the fucking head and dropped him to
Ooh.
the ground.
Oh
It
shit!
was insane.
That is insane.
I
Ugh.
hope I'm assuming he's okay.
Yeah.
Cattle, he's pumping out cattle jams still. So
So
Yeah.
imagine trying to explain all of that to this 60-year-old coworker.
right, you're just gonna have to show him a video.
Just be like, it's kind of like line dancing, and someone's foot hit me in the leg.
It is sort of like that
I-
in a different kind of way.
I'll incorporate that into your set for Whitechapel.
There we go.
I'll do some line dancing for
Fuck
you
Okay.
yes,
guys.
can't wait to see it.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna take it over to Twitch. Thanks
Yeah, we
so
are.
much
Thanks
for calling.
in, Amber. We'll see you on
Yeah, for
Sunday
sure.
morning.
Hell
All
yeah!
right.
See you guys.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Let's take it over to the Twitch
All right,
party.
y'all. It's been a good podcast. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out, tuning in, asking questions. Like I said, come and hang out with us live next Tuesday on Twitch at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard. We'll be stoked. We got a new single coming out next
Be
Wednesday.
hyping.
It's big time shit.
We're gonna crack
Love you
the
guys
fucking
so
Bud
much.
Zeros.
Yeah, we're getting
All right.
crunk.
See you guys next week. Peace.